Greetings and salutations. 'Tis I, Big Dan Rodan. We have the architect. Oh, the comic book. I'm trying to do.
You do your thing. Do your thing. We're good.
We are joined here by the architect, Jayhawk, and Dr. Yla Eason. And if you don't know who she is, you should know who she is. She is the creator, the mind behind Sunman. And if you don't, can you stop?
What?
Stop.
I'm enjoying myself.
I also want to fade it.
Well, finish your intro and then you can get it. All right.
So,
Chaos.
very quickly, what's the short story behind Sunman? So
the short story. Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me.
Definitely. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Yeah.
Talk right here.
I don't want to give
Okay.
you directions because you got a doctor. I want to stay in my lane. I have a podcast.
I have to say because I have a sister who is a PhD, right? Mm-hmm. And since I'm in academia, everybody always acknowledges the earned versus honorary. I am an honorary.
Nope. You earned it.
PhD.
I think you did earn it.
Okay.
I think that's still earned.
Earned is earned. Earned is earned.
I think it's harder to get somebody to honor you with that level,
Right?
than just like, I mean, no shade to your sister, who earned hers. But
We just put our foot in every time.
they heard all of that.
it's great. It's great.
Oh, well, thank you. But short story. My name is Yla Eason. I am originally from Tulsa, Oklahoma, which used to be nothing until everybody started hearing about Black Wall Street. So now it has a different resonance with everyone. And I started my toy company. Well, back up a little bit. I grew up in complete segregation. But it was, let me say, wonderful because we had all black everything, teachers, neighborhoods, and I didn't really experience any racism because, we were on our side and they were on their side.
Yeah. Nobody fit the description.
Nobody fit the description.
Come back around.
Nobody fit. And so I grew up with nothing but black pride. I went to Ralph J. Bunch Elementary School, Marion Anderson Junior High School, and Booker T. Washington High School. So that kind of gives you the flavor. My undergraduate degree is from Fitchburg State University in English. I was a journalist. I worked for the Tulsa Tribune, Dayton Daily News, Chicago Tribune, New York Times, and was a financial editor at Standard & Poor's before I started my toy company. I got an MBA from Harvard, and I have an honorary doctorate from Bloomfield College for pioneering the black multicultural toy market. Wow. The way I got into the toy business was my son was 3 years old and said he couldn't be He-Man, which was the blonde action figure.
Mm-hmm.
Because
you're not worth it anyway.
We have our opinions about him.
Oh, okay. Kind of got that Nordic. Cross-bearing.
And
his battle cat. It's just,
you don't even change the battle cat. He just puts armor on the battle cat. The cat's scared before he puts armor on.
The battle cat is fine. Cats are fine.
And he's just a prince.
He's just a prince.
Whoa.
No.
Prince Cini is a prince.
Yeah.
Well, well, anyway.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I got you.
We do this a lot.
And so that surprised us. My former husband and I, we were actually on the beach in Jamaica when that happened, which is why his colors are red and green and yellow, because that's awesome. That's where the color scheme comes from. And he said he couldn't be a superhero. What's that? You get a little Bob Marley?
Don't pay him any mind. Don't pay him any mind.
Is all intrusive thoughts.
This is why we gave him the hat. This is why we gave
Keeps
him
him contained.
exactly.
Please continue.
All right. And so when he said that, we were like, okay, when we get back to New York, we'll buy you a Black Superhero toy, no problem. Came back and couldn't find any. And then started asking others, what are your kids playing with? And they were like, they're really into this He-Man, but all the browner characters in the line were all bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
And so
They fit the description.
I made it a thing, guys. I made it a thing. I'm so proud. Yeah, go ahead.
She's like, this story usually
guys are
takes like
fun,
10 minutes.
Like, he definitely said quick story.
I did say short story, right? Sorry, go ahead.
I'm loving this. So I got back, started doing a lot of research, and I had the distinct honor of actually meeting Dr. Kenneth Clark, who did the Black Doll study. And I went to meet with him to ask him if he thought this was a thing, was it important? And from the Black Doll study, they showed black dolls, white dolls, and asked them who's good, who's kind, who's fun, and they attributed all the wonderful qualities to the white dolls. And then what he talks about was then when he asked the kids to show me the one that looks like you, he had one kid get up and leave the room because they were so traumatized to have to admit that this is what they look like, really amazing. So he said, yes, go do it. When I was asking kind of his blessing and what he thought about it, he said it really is important. You all were talking about representation and identity and imagination. And let me just back up a little bit. I think because someone said, what made you want to create the toy? And it was because here's my son playing. He's 3 years old. And you all were talking about Lego, et cetera. Kids are full of imagination, right? And if you suddenly are shutting down your imagination because of your color, that's really radically dangerous.
Yeah.
That you're not free at 3, mind you,
Yeah.
to just say, I can be anything, I can be whoever I want to be. So,
Your world becomes a lot smaller.
right, and then it's as if somebody has shut you down for imagination, which is frightening.
It's
Yeah.
From someone that young to have absorbed that. So that's what got me started on the journey to let's create a black superhero toy. And his name is Sunman, who gets his powers from his magical melanin skin. So I also went out and researched, okay, why is our skin brown? What makes your skin darker, et cetera, and all the protective elements that it has. So that was how Sunman was born. That was some of the lore. And then we went on to do Hispanic, Native American, Asian, and white to roll out the whole multicultural toy line, action figure.
I have a question to that.
Sure.
Is it empathy that allows for black creators to make sure that they include the other underrepresented cultures and races? Because a lot of times what we often see is we make our thing and then we also make sure we make everybody else's thing. We include everybody else. And what did you feel empowered you and motivated you to include the other races and cultures?
I think empathy is a part of it, but I think it's also like a vision of being able to see everybody, and then why aren't you a part of the crew?
Yeah.
If we're, what's getting a bad word now? Inclusive.
Like sounds like diversity.
Do we have to shut down the podcast now? Do we lost our funding? Man.
Sorry, that's it. Have a good night, everybody. Have a blessed night. No, I agree.
Did I hear someone say thought police are coming?
Yeah.
Teaching that CRT over that multiverse. It's like, what? Okay.
But no, I think, yes, I think probably oppressed people do see things differently from the perspective of what am I not a part of? And I think that is a part of looking. Who else isn't here?
Right.
And why not?
Yeah. That's great. I had a follow up to that. I think that's something that I don't think people ask of the people who create for the underrepresented.
Yeah.
Is why include everybody else when you didn't see yourself? Because it's easy to kind of just strike out on your own and do for you and do for the ones that you feel are you, but your worldview is just so much wider when you're the underrepresented, because you see not just yourself, you see the other cultures, you see the other races, and I think that question doesn't get asked a lot. So that's why I thought I would ask it of you.
Okay, good question.
I mean, to piggyback off that, I think that, like, all speaking of, being inclusive for all that are not represented, I feel like all of our paths are intertwined, right? At some point, you dial history back enough, then somebody's road is intersecting with somebody else's, right? And that's no matter if you're here in the diaspora, if you're across the ocean, like, everybody's lives intertwine, and at some point. And so that leads me to my next question: how do you feel how do you feel action figures have, I guess, affected any stereotypes in Black culture? Or how I guess to rephrase my question, like, in challenging those stereotypes, I guess. Like, so how you said that in that doll study, or when your son was playing, the only representation that we had were for villains, right? So in action figures now that are coming out that are representational of superheroes, super heroine, how do you feel in this timeline that it's challenged that stereotype? Do they fit the description? Do they die first in that storyline? Are they just the slapstick portion of the team? So yeah, how do you feel action figures have what role do you think they've played in challenging those stereotypes?
Well, just as you said, they've challenged the stereotypes. They have said we aren't going to be the victim, we aren't going to be the villain, and we are going to have superpowers, not a black version of a white character, as you all were talking about earlier, but unique, distinct. Sunman's characteristics or features are from his melanin. And what's that movie? They haven't made action figures out of it, but I thought it was really brilliant.
Supercell.
Supercell.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
Where they turned sickle cell
Yeah.
into a superpower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what you can do, again, with imagination unleashed, you can then create any kind of world that you want to envision. You can have your character be everything that's counter to what the world is saying
Sure.
the character isn't.
Yeah.
You can break a prison pipeline, if you will, by empowering a child to think, I have all these other options in my life. And if I can imagine anything, being anything, flying, striking out in the world, being in a world that, like you said, that where they're not checking for you, because you don't fit the bad part of whatever they're thinking of. So then you can eclipse that mentally. And I think that's what it offers a certain amount of freedom and space to just be, where you can fit in anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great segue. So since we're going to BlerdCon in a few weeks, what I've seen at Comic-Con, cons in general are rather than somebody trying to be the black version of a specific character or figure, you start seeing, as representation grows, you start seeing these black and brown characters being represented at cons, people cosplaying. And it's really beautiful to see because, when I was a child playing with Legos and playing with, my G.I. Joe figurines or things like that, I never imagined that I didn't realize what I was missing until I got older and I was like, oh, why didn't we have that? But I was already at the point where the box had been built around my imagination. The limit had been set. And so now in my early adulthood, because I like to say that I'm not that old yet, because apparently we have like generation C or B or
Alpha.
We are,
Or alpha
we are
or-
actually millennials.
No, I know what we are. Obviously, I don't know what like the.
It comes with back pain at this point. So.
I don't make the rules.
Batteries are not included.
Batteries are not included.
Back pain,
No.
definitely included.
But it's just it's nice to kind of unlearn the typology that I was taught to fit into. So that's kind of what I was getting at with my question is because that's my personal journey in the world of, let's say, in the world of imagination. Yeah.
Speaking of freedom, your son says like, I don't see myself in He-Man. I can't be a superhero. And you had what? I've heard you talk about it before, but I definitely wanted to ask this to you. But like, what gave you the freedom to just start that journey of like, oh, I'm just gonna go create a toy. Like, oh, you can't see yourself, I'm gonna create a toy. It's like, just thinking about that now. Like, I don't have a child. If my cat was like, hey, I can't see myself represented.
That's what your cat would say?
Yeah.
I mean, it would be probably more like meow 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 meow.
But as a cat parent, as a cat dad, you get it.
Cat dad. Okay.
But it would be like, oh, I'm so sorry for you, but like, you know, you're cool too. Like, I don't know, like it wouldn't be like believe in yourself. I don't know, but like the freedom to just be like, oh, I'm just gonna go create a toy. I think that's amazing. Can you like what was that like?
I think, that whole kind of ignorance is bliss, where you don't think it's going to be difficult. So you can just do it. It's like, I know how,
Wild Wild West.
I can make a cake. Oh, just give me the ingredients and I'll put it together. I did not know how difficult, how complex, how cruel in so many ways, how competitive, how expensive the toy industry is. So I had no idea what I was getting into.
So because you didn't know, when those hurdles came up, was it just like, oh, okay, just like something to like walk over, or did anything ever stop you, like make you like really like take a pause?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's like obviously.
He almost didn't make
said
it.
expensive at one point. That would be enough for me.
Right.
Expensive?
Well,
He gonna have this toy in his imagination. He gonna imagine.
We're gonna get some crayons.
buff build, everything. He gonna imagine the afro, the wings, imagination. That's free.
right. If I go back to the genesis, okay, I got lucky. I went and talked to a lawyer getting trademarked. The lawyer had a client who was in the toy business. He was making buckets of kids' baby stuff. So he said he would introduce me to
The
factory.
network, the people.
Yeah. And then I found out this was way before computer animated design, et cetera, that you've got to create a toy, you've got to draw it, hand draw from the top, the bottom, the sides. And I don't know if anybody knows Floyd Cooper. He is a renowned, God rest his soul, children's book illustrator. He was dating my cousin.
You knew all the people. You was just in here. Okay, I like it.
And he's from Oklahoma. He's another friend.
Okay.
That my little connection.
Good description.
Right. And so
In a good way.
In a good way.
and he's the one who drew, the because I could only do a stick figure. He's got to look like this. He's got to fit. There's a concept in the toy industry called fit into play. That means that if you're introducing a toy that's going to be in the universe of another toy, they have to be able to almost wear their clothes, if we're talking dolls, fit into their vehicles, be a part of their accessory. So he had to be 5 3/4 inches. He had to be muscular. He had to be able to, where if you put him with He-Man, you wouldn't know that this wasn't already a part of that line.
Gotcha.
So that was another part of the concept. And I'm learning the industry as I'm getting into it because I was a journalist. I knew research,
Okay.
Right.
but I didn't know, I had studied business, but I didn't know how to create a product. So once I got that background for me, then it was, okay, what are we going to do you know, the name came easy. Sun is coming from the land of the sun. Okay, that fit.
That checks out.
Right, that checked out. And then back to the problems. When we took it over to China, I didn't know nobody goes on that 22-hour flight to Hong Kong and turns around one day and comes back the
Just a
next
day
day.
trip. That's all. Just a day
know
trip.
that.
That's okay.
When I say ignorance, it's like, you're right. Nobody does that.
Oh, we not staying?
We
We gotta go back.
the car's still running.
What do you mean? It's 22 hours. We don't stay for a little bit? Nah.
So there was that. And then getting back to raising the money, I said expensive. My former husband had worked for Bed-Stuy Restoration Corps in Brooklyn. Back then, back in the 80s, the black community was rather small. I mean, Percy Sutton was the Manhattan borough president. So he knew Earl Graves and every other black renowned, anybody who was doing any business. So we actually got on the phone one weekend when we knew we needed $60,000 to kick it off.
That's pocket
Back
change.
in 85,
You got it.
You got
I would have gave that little boy a sponge. Hey, son man. He soaks up all the water. But he gets it from the sun. This is exactly what it would have been. But $60,000.
no,
Oh, yeah.
before, cash, not cash, what's the one where you
Like ATM?
raise money now?
Oh, fundraising? Oh, Kickstarter.
Kickstarter before any of those. So we got on the phone and actually raised the money in a weekend.
In a weekend.
In a weekend. I think it was because of the power of saying a lot of people had heard of He-Man, and it was like, would you like, basically the pitch was, would you like for little black boys to have a toy that looked like that? That was pretty much it.
That's
And,
awesome.
You know, and so that's how we were able to raise the money. But of course, it took a lot more than that to finally get everything going. But I think it was like not thinking it was difficult, but getting back to what were some of the difficulties. Okay, since I didn't know the toy industry, I didn't know like right now is when you show your products for Christmas. It starts off in Nuremberg. Nuremberg was 2 weeks ago, the toy fair, and then it moves to New York and Tokyo. Tokyo, a lot of the designs come out of there. I didn't know anything about this particular industry.
Gotcha.
So I'm in June bringing out the product, saying, okay, we've got this product ready to sell it to all the retailers. And they're like,
for next year, sure.
They're like, sure, not this year.
we're not taking this. And by
Yeah.
the way, who are you?
Right.
You know, you connected with nobody in the industry. And the industry was everybody knew everybody. I didn't know that what industry I was walking into.
Sure.
Everybody knew everybody. Anyway, so what did we do? We said, well, we've got all this product. We've got to sell it now. So we went to bookstores, churches, sororities and fraternities, street vendors, barbershops, beauty shops, anybody who had a club who was trying to raise money, YMCAs.
Gotcha.
It was all street, you know.
Yeah. Like word of
Grassroots.
mouth and
Grassroots.
Yeah.
100% grassroots.
That's amazing.
And then we're able to go back and say, hey, these were the sales we had. And then we actually took out an ad in Ebony to introduce.
Oh, wow.
And that was back in the day where Ebony and Jet,
Right.
Yeah.
it was one publication
Yeah.
that everybody was tuned into.
And there was the ad next to the hair grease or the model.
I don't remember. They actually did an ad for us and then did an article.
Okay.
You know, about Mr. Johnson.
I
Back
just
in
figured
the
it's
day,
just like
you
a
could.
guy with a thin mustache going like this. But, you know, I didn't read a lot of Ebony growing up.
Oh yeah, you're younger.
Yeah.
But it was easier then. It was easier to call people and say, hey, I have an idea. That was when Boo Boo was running around. That's when Spike Lee was running around.
Yeah.
Brooklyn was really thriving. And it was easy to make connections. If you just
Sure.
said, hey, I'm trying to do, well, let me see if I can help you.
You know, I might know some people.
Exactly. That's really what it was like. The community was really there for you if it was something they believed in and they thought you could help advance everybody to the next level. I'm sure when you started this bookstore, you probably had a lot of good community.
Yeah, we had a lot of support.
Support, yeah. Because people want to see something positive.
Yeah.
Back to stereotypes. You know, you want to break that with anything positive you can come up with, and people are for that.
Well, I mean, as you know, life continues and the age of the tablet is upon us. How do you see the role of the action figure playing now, in present, like today? How do you see it influencing kids, their imaginations, aside from them picking up a phone or picking up a tablet and just?
Do they still pick up action figures?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they do, but now you do need something that's digital. I'm working with some young artists who are video game guys.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're going to try to see if we can launch a little bit of what we've been working on at DreamCon. Do you guys go to DreamCon?
If we could go,
Yeah. we'd be yeah.
some people could get on a Hong Kong flight.
If only there were sponsors.
Yeah. Exactly.
Put in a good
We're just
word,
saying,
show up,
you know.
We'd be there and somebody was like, invite, you know. But yes.
Yes, we've heard of it.
Yes, we have. The long short of it, yes, we've heard.
Well, this is a group of multicultural guys who used to work at Nintendo.
Okay.
Okay. I've heard of them.
Okay.
You know.
You heard of a little company called Nintendo.
And
It's
so they're trying, they've been working for the last 2 years we've been working on.
Wow.
Because they're doing it after work and whatever.
I mean, that's awesome.
So,
That's really
yeah,
cool.
I think being able to see Sunman in moving,
Yeah.
you know, I think that's a part of what's needed. And animation, a video game, et cetera. Those are some of the things that I'm trying to get to make happen.
Okay.
It's amazing.
One last question. Well, at least for me.
Okay.
No,
You guys
this will be
can-
the last question.
Oh, okay.
We just gotta,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
got other stuff we gotta do.
Gotta do stuff.
I caught Graylin's eyes. So
He's like, hey.
Y'all ain't gotta go home.
Hey.
we're here for a good time, not a long time.
Hey.
Start
Starting to
flipping
fit the description.
Look, they already turned the light off on us. You got something come on. The microphone's gonna start going down. I just want to thank the Academy. I just want to thank the Academy.
Moving forward with the new projects that you have going on, do you think that there is space, and like if this is like under wraps, keep it under wraps, but do you think that there's space for a lady character, a black woman character for the universe?
We did have Butterfly Woman. We did have we had a full line of Butterfly Woman, Felina and Amandla. We had 3 women as a part of this line that have, you know, that came out in '87.
Okay.
Okay.
So we would love to be able to revive them as a part of it.
I mean, they've done the same with She-Ra, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and unless you grew up watching He-Man, you wouldn't know who the heck is this,
Yeah.
right?
Right,
So, yeah, that'd be exciting to see.
But yeah, so we came out with her as well.
Cool.
3 of them. 3.
That's awesome.
Well, we want to thank you so much for.
Well, thank you all for having me.
Yeah.
This has
And
been
only
fun.
getting a part of your story.
Right.
Because I feel like I have more questions about you were just like a journalist than you were.
Oh yeah, the multiple lives.
When she said NBA, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Who is this person?
Harvard.
It's just, and then she was like, I got on Hong Kong. The Hong Kong thing took me out. But that's just
They took her out too.
But thank you again so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you all for having
Not
me.
just for being here, but for what you've done. Because
thank
that's
you.
important.
Yeah.
When they first brought it to our attention, I was like, I know the name, I've heard it before, but I did not know the full extent.
Well, you have to realize it geeks me out too, because it's 40 years later, and
Yeah.
people are still talking about it. So it's like, you know, I'm excited.
That's
40
legacy.
years to become an overnight
That's legacy
success,
right there. You know. So
That's
And-
awesome.
Yeah, and you represent, and what you've done has represented exactly what we do here. We're just 3 nerds.
Blerds.
Black nerds.
There you go.
3 black nerds who, understand the importance of seeing ourselves. And you just got up one day and was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna just do it. And that is more than what some people have ever done on behalf of us. And so you deserve every flower. You deserve all the claps, all the toy sales. Go buy the toy. Go buy the toy. And I hope you know how important you are.
Well,
Not just to nerds, but to the black community, to people who don't feel represented at all.
Yeah.
You are that important, and I hope you know this.
Well, thank you.
Okay? Don't act like you're surprised. You know this. You don't.
You have
between
to.
me and you know, you know how awesome you right. Okay, I just wanted to make sure they're not here. You know, right?
I can tell you that it continues to excite me.
Okay.
You know, honestly, because it's like, wow, people really still care.
Yeah.
It still matters.
It does still matter.
Yeah.
You know,
Forever and always.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right,
And,
you gotta get all poetic and stuff.
Sorry.
All right, listen.
And then, big shout out to Multiverse.
Yeah,
Thank you
Multiverse.
for our live audience that joined us today. We appreciate you guys.
Also, the Philadelphia Dog Museum.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Philadelphia-
Philadelphia Dog Museum.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And as we always like to say here, y'all have a blessed night. Peace.
Deuces.
take a selfie.
Of course.